Hey, good morning all. So this stream is essentially my very first. It's a how-to. So we're going to be trying to make some of these, which are essentially Primaris scale, Sanguinary Guard, and I think they look pretty cool. I did find a guide online on how to do this. I can't remember where I originally seen it, but the credit can't go to me. I have made some tweaks, as the guide itself wasn't exactly a step-by-step. It was more of a rough couple of pictures. Now I think these look pretty damn good, although as conversions go they are quite expensive. But for rule of cool, I think they're worth it. So what are you going to need to make these conversions? Well, first of all, you need one of these bad boys. So that's a box of Sanguinary Guard Firstborn. Now they are a nice kit. I'm just struggling with all of the Firstborn stuff at the moment because I don't like the scale compared to the Primaris stuff. So I've done a few conversions so far. One of them being my Sanguinary Priest. If you can quite see that. Let's have a look. So he's based off it's the Sanguinary Priest Firstborn kit, and I think it's the Indomitus, or the Indominus. Which was the one? Shadow Spear. I think it's the Shadow Spear Lieutenant. So secondly, for the Sanguinary Guard, you're going to need a box of these. So these are Custodian Guardians, or Custodian Guard Squad. Again, I said they are quite expensive at conversion. It works at roughly 50 quid for 5 models. But, to be honest, like I said, I think this is worth it. You're also going to need a hobby saw. I use this particular make. I got it in hobby shop, local hobby shop. You need a X-Acto knife or a hobby knife, scalpel blade, whatever you want to call it. Be very, very careful with these, obviously, if you've never used them before. You can get some nasty scars. You might need a pair of tweezers, and you're going to need some plastic glue. That's pretty much it. So I'm going to make one for you guys, just so that it's easy to see. So the only thing that we're going to use from the Custodian sprue is the legs and the torsos. And we're going to be doing a little bit of reconfiguration work on the torsos. So you have to be quite confident that you are going to achieve what you're going to achieve, because you're going to be cutting up some of this, and it can be quite scary at first. But we'll go through that now. So what I tend to do is make all of these up first, the bodies, because that's where the majority of the work is going to be. So we'll just make one up quickly, and that way I can show you exactly what we need to do. So these are all the same, so we're just going to cut one out, and one at the front, clippers we also need, forgot about that. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do. First thing is just clean up my sprue marks. Very, very gently. Make sure there's no burrs. You want these arms to be nice and clean. And that's pretty much it. So we're going to stick those two pieces together now using some plastic glue. Whilst they dry, we'll start cutting out the legs and making sure we've got that ready to fit. I'm just using the Citadel plastic here. I've never actually used any other kind. I have heard that there are better brands available. That is a nice clean fit. Missed a bit of spray there, so I'll clean that off. Easy does it. That's a single Custodian chess piece. So the main cutting that we need to do on this conversion is to fit the Sanguinary Guard backpack. We need to clear off this whole back area, and to ensure that we have enough space for the heads and that they don't look overwhelmed, we need to also cut this collar off. Now what I tend to do is trim the collar with the clippers and then use my X-Acto knife just to clean up the area, and I use my hobby saw to pretty much cut directly down from where the eagle is. So you're essentially just cutting off these two vents here, and you should have a nice thin piece once you've cut it off completely. It does look very square once it's off, and when you put the Sanguinary Guard backpack on, it doesn't look like it fits properly. It looks like there's a lot of flat dead area, but as soon as you put the wings on, you can't see any of that. And what I found is, when I completed this Sanguinary Guard along with my others, that you can't hardly see any of that flat area at all. I mean, I could do some filling there if I really wanted to, but to be honest, nobody's ever going to see that. And the colour itself, the gold, referencing off the white, it takes your eye away from any of the mistakes you can make anyway. Right, so while that's drying, let's quickly cut out a pair of legs. So we're just going to go for this random one. Find this counterpart. So exactly the same again, let's just trim these off nice and steady. Don't know how you do it, but I just trim off as much as possible and then scrape the back edge to smooth it over. I think once that's painted, you can't even notice it. You can cut these tassels off, but to be honest, I think they look okay once they're on. We added a little bit of flair. Just trim that off, and if you've got any more lines, just take those off with a chance. Use the back edge of the knife, that's what I do. Just a little trim there, that's pretty much it. Oh, missed that big bit there. Just clip that. Just gently take that off. Nice. Let me get some plastic glue, stick this together. think I'm running out of plastic glue. There we go. So we've got a nice pair of legs. So essentially these are going to fit together exactly as intended, but we're not going to have a top collar, and we're not going to have a backpack. So that's what we're going to do right now. So the first thing I do is trim the collar down. Just trim the collar, if you can see it, just to that pipe there. You don't want to go lower than this. This does seem a little sacrilegious, just cutting up some brand new miniatures. So that's done. It looks rough, so we're going to clean it up with the X-Acto knife. And we're essentially going to try and smooth it in just down to the pipe here. So we're just going to gently take pieces off. If you angle it, you can get right behind the pipe and make it quite a smooth transition. Not too concerned with anything in the back, because we're going to have a big backpack to cover that. I'm going to trim this right down. Again, be very careful with these knives. Nice and gently. You can always take stuff off, you can't add it on, so just take your time with this bit. Just wouldn't worry about that too much, because you're going to cut most of that off when we do the vents. Just try to make it as flush and as flat as possible. I leave the front collar because I think that looks quite nice with the sanguinary heads on. I'm just going to trim this a little to make it a little bit smoother, and then use the back of my knife to run it in. It doesn't look particularly brilliant there, but you're never going to see that with the head and the backpack on. And to be honest, once it's painted, it blends in very smooth. That looks pretty flush to me. So we come to the most difficult part, which is trimming these vents off the back here. So I'm going to take my hobby saw, push down nice and firm. I'm going to take it roughly to the eagle's tip. I'm going to just make myself a little mark here so I can cut flush. And you want to go obviously as straight as possible across. If it's not perfectly straight, it doesn't matter, you can fix it. So I'm going to cut away. Don't force it, just leave the hobby saw do the work. It's quite a messy job, you get a lot of plastic fibres in there. And there we have it, trimmed. So we'll make up a backpack. We'll do a dry fit just to make sure we don't need to take any more of this off. What we'll do is just gently trim this to make sure it's nice and flash. Now, I agree it doesn't look particularly nice at the moment. Trust me, once we're done, it'll be spot on. Cut this flush as well. looks pretty good. So, move over onto the Sanguinary Guard sprue, and we're going to cut a pair of wings off and put those aside for now, and we're just going to make up one of these jetpacks. So, snip this off quickly. That's a nice pair of wings. Put those to one side. The first time I did this conversion, it took me quite some time, more or less, because I was worried about making a mistake. I've actually done this twice now, so I'm a little bit more confident. Obviously I don't want to rush it too much because they are an expensive kit and I don't want to just make a mistake. So I'll trim these very quickly. This top bit here you want to try and get as nice and flush as possible, because you're going to get a nice flat surface for paint, and if you've got any imperfections there, it'll come up very easily. Again, I try to go as flat as possible with the knife, and then just clean off at the back, make sure it's flush. There you go. I think with paint on that you won't be able to see anything. Same again for this part. Stick these together. Just check connection points so I know where to put the glue. I don't mind a little bit of over spillage on the glue. I think it helps bond better, especially on the creases, as long as it's not pouring out. So there we have a semi-completed backpack. Just got the engine to the bottom. Which will trim off again. Well, these are quite flush. So there's the back of the knife, just to scrape those clean. Don't want to put any gouges in these. Glue on here. And there we go. Make sure that's straight. Okay. So we'll do a quick dry fit here. So what I like to do is try to get this crease here just sitting comfortably on the top here, like so. can put it there, but I don't find the connection points are very good. I prefer it sitting up slightly higher. I do have a slight void at the bottom there, but like I said, it's hardly noticeable at all. I mean, you can just see that very small flat place there. So it's never bothered me. Again, trial and error. This isn't a fixed conversion. You can do pretty much what you like once you get to this point, but I prefer it there. So that's what we're going to do. I'm just going to glue that on. Straight on, no messing. Plenty of glue because I want to get a good bond on this. Just make sure it's nice and centered here to the body, and that it is square facing this way. What you might find is you might have to slightly offset it on the back to make it look decent on the front. That looks pretty good to me. And again, it's almost perfect on the back, nothing major. And I'm going to stick the legs on. Because that is pretty much the whole thing done now. We've got no more cutting, no more messing about really. And there is the base for Primaris Sanguinary Guard. Now the best thing about these models is, even though the Custodians look massive, the arms and the legs of the Sanguinary sprue, as well as the shoulder pads, obviously because we're using the arms and legs, the scale is pretty good. Doesn't look out of place at all. So I'm going to go for the axe first off, because I do like the axe. And onto a sport rifle. And we're going to pick some of my shoulder pads. Looks pretty cool. And then that one looks pretty cool. So I'm going to trim all these back really quick, and then we're going to do it. I was going to say we dry fit, but to be honest, we'll just chuck them on and see what happens. Like from this point on, you can't really make any mistakes. The wings are a little bit of a potch to put on because you've got no hard fixed points. But essentially what I'm going to try and do is have the wings slightly higher than they would be on the normal Sanguinary Guard. And I'm going to try and hook just onto the top of that where the vent was there. And I'm going to put a little dab of plastic glue here and use the back end stick to the thruster. That's exactly what I've done here. And to be honest, they're pretty solid. There's no movement in those at all. Does mean I have a little bit of a weld there and there, but to be honest, it's not a big deal. I don't find it a big deal anyway. So we also need a hand. fist. Let's take a look. Which one shall I use? Closed fist. There you go. Nice. Right, so this should be pretty quick from here. Trim off that. Make sure that's nice and smooth. A little glue on here. Some spare. Definitely need to get some more plastic glue. That is the only thing with this conversion. There's a lot of plastic. I should have cleaned this. So with our fists, we're just going to trim off these. Back of the mouth. Obviously, if you wanted to, you could drill your bolt cones. I do on some and I don't on others. The last of my very small drill bits broke a couple of weeks ago and I haven't bothered replacing it, so I'm not going to do these. That's pretty much it. Get rid of the wall line. Anything we need to trim on here? Just the bottom. Sweet. One shoulder pad. Is looking okay. Let's take that off. Here we go. Plenty of glue, knee spawned. So I'm going to pose him. What I like about the plastic, you've got time to change the position if you're not happy with it. Is he going to be firing? Waving his axe. I think he's going to be carrying his axe, pointing his gun. Pretty sweet. Days. So there is our pose. And I'm going to throw these shoulder pads on quickly. Again, they fit spot on. Oops. So all you want to make sure is that you do leave a little bit of gap there that you can fit the wing in. That is quite important. It's more difficult on this shoulder pad because of the way these large shoulder pads fit, but we should be able to work around that quite easily. May just mean some slight pressure here and there. change the shoulder pad because this purity seal is not exactly fitting. It's not allowing us to get a gap between the backpack. It probably would if we had a different orientation on the arm. So we'll just pick a shoulder pad. And trim that up really quick. Perfect. So that's sitting nice. I've got a gap between the backpack and the shoulder, which can quite easily accommodate the wing. And there you have it. So all I need to do is stick the head on, pop the wings in once the arms are dry, and there is your Sanguinary Guard Primaris scale. And once painted, I think they look pretty damn good. So it was only a very quick stream this morning. I hope anybody who's watching or watches this in the future finds it useful. So thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your day.